I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help myself. Julie Ahrens, that's for you. John Sangmeister, that's for you. Maddie Whitfield, that's for you. What'd you think of that, Julia?
I think that was wonderful.
Why are we playing that?
Because they're champs.
Because
collegiate champs.
Because Michigan won last night.
Yeah.
The college football playoffs, the CFP in this country, it's a big deal. Everybody who's at all interested in sports and football, tune in. Michigan beat Washington 34-13. It was a closer game than that, in fact, until midway through the fourth and final quarter. It was only a touchdown difference. And at one point, I turned to Alfredo Partible and said, hey, AP, he was watching the game with me, whoever scores next is going to win. And if Oregon, who were down a touchdown at that point, Washington, had scored, it was, I think, going to be their game. They were going to get the mo and go. But Michigan did score, and surprisingly large margin, 34-13. Yeah. Bravo Zulu to my alma mater, my beloved alma mater. Two great quarterbacks. And this guy, Michael Penix Jr., number 9 on the right for Washington, that was runner-up in the Heisman Trophy, which is the National Collegiate Football Champion.
All-Star,
the All-Star of the All-Star. And J.J. McCarthy's been strong all season. He was good. But the battle turned out not to be between the quarterbacks. It was the running game. It was the University of Michigan's running game. No surprise. They've been strong all year, and they had a couple, 3, maybe 4 running touchdowns. But what wins championships is defense, and Michigan's defense finishes the year number 1 after their strong showing against Washington last night in that college football playoff.
I have to also express a little sadness because it was the Pac-12's last showing at
and your Pac-12 dissolved.
Right.
I don't know what's happening to the remaining teams, but 4 of them went to the Big Ten, including Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC. But this is a sailing show, so we really don't need to talk about all that stuff here today. But it's going to be, I think, even more interesting with 18 teams in the Big Ten. I'm sorry to lose the Pac-12, as you and Andy Rose and a lot of others are. But Michigan plays Washington, I think, in September in the Big Ten. So that'll be good fun. Michigan also, as you saw in the program notes, Michigan also does have a sailing club, and a rather old one. It's been around 60-plus years. Michigan Sailing Club was founded at a lake just northeast of Ann Arbor called Whitmore Lake, and how things have changed, but also how things have not changed. Those are, I don't know if those are tech dinghies or a precursor to a tech dinghy, which was a popular collegiate boat in this country for years. But there's a race committee out there with a horn. I don't know if you can see the horn here in the middle of this shot, but it looks like an auto horn or a truck horn right here. They probably have a battery operated for making sound signals there. And the sailing club has been around for a long time. It now today has a nice facility. It's simple, it's Spartan, but it's a nice facility on what's called Baseline Lake, just really north of Ann Arbor, right next door to the lake that I grew up on, Portage Lake. And that at Baseline, at the sailing club, is where the University of Michigan sailing team practices Thursday afternoons before going off to a weekend regatta. And I'm a proud alum of not only the U, but also of the Michigan sailing team. The sailing team goes up and down. It's tough in the Midwest to be competitive because the travel distances are so far to other regattas, and particularly the powerhouse teams on the East Coast and the West Coast. But back in the day when Bruce Nelson, who was a year ahead of me, the famous yacht designer, grew up in Long Island Sound, now lives in San Diego. He is the esteemed yacht designer. He's been on the show three times. Yes. And Nelson and I were the A and the B skippers, respectively. We won a couple national championships, including the first ever sloop championship. And we won the dinghy team racing. I can't remember what we won. We won the Kennedy Cup, too. We're the only team, the Michigan sailing team, of that era, which was in the early 70s. We're the only sailing team to win the Kennedy Cup, which the Naval Academy hosts in the Naval Academy, what was then the Naval Academy Yawls in Annapolis.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they invite you in, and you sleep on cots in the field house or on other boats in the marina someplace. And we were the only team to win it and not get invited back the next year.
Oh,
You know why?
because you won it.
No, because we misbehaved. I didn't. I went there in my little blue blazer and probably had a tie on, and some of our teammates misbehaved.
Oh, not from Michigan.
From Michigan.
Oh.
And we were not invited back. Do you know what our team motto is?
Don't get into trouble.
Also, since 1938, the University of Michigan sailing team been around a long time, and our motto is sail to the victors.
Okay.
Clark is saying that Michigan plays Washington on the 5th of October in Seattle. So it's October, not September. Stingray is on, and he is an alum of the University of Washington. He and I had a bet, Julia.
Yes.
We had a $1 bet.
Yes.
And I'll collect that $1 bet at some point. And Stingray was texting with me. He's a Sangmeister State Public School man. He of course went to SC, Southern
Yes.
Cal. No, we were not. John's right. We were not correct. But Stingray is talking about the McKee brothers, Jonathan McKee, and others. Still have a laser that he bought used from the UW, as they're called up in Seattle. Great university. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to our Sail to the Victors. We dedicate this segment to John Sangmeister, by the way, because he just loves the university. He loves, doesn't he, Julia?
Oh, yes.
The University of Michigan fight song, which was written by a student on a train between Chicago and Ann Arbor back in the late 1800s.
Oh, in the late 1800s.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Right.
And finally, last night at the end of the game, and the tradition in college football is they take the what do you call that? The Gatorade jug, and they pour it, ice and all, and it's freezing cold water and Gatorade over the back of the coach. And Jim Harbaugh, who's the coach, had avoided it until the bitter end. They finally got him after 2 or 3 missed attempts. And a lot of people don't like Coach Harbaugh, including John Sangmeister. I coached Jimmy Harbaugh. I don't know if I've ever said this on the show. I coached Coach Harbaugh, when he was 10 years old on a hockey team in Ann Arbor. Mm-hmm. And he was just as intense then as he is now. And he said, he was a bit funny last night. He said, I finally get to go to the big boys table, the big kids table at family dinners because his dad won a national championship coaching something, Div 2 or Div 3, Division 2 or 3 some years ago, early 90s, I think. And his brother, the esteemed John Harbaugh, is the coach of the Baltimore Ravens in the National Football League, and he's won a Super Bowl, in fact, against Jimmy Harbaugh when he was coaching the 49ers. Okay, you can tell we like this stuff. Julia likes it. Those of you who are outside the States, I apologize because we love college football in this country in a big way. That shot courtesy of ESPN when the team finally douched.
Oh, makes me shiver to look at
Finally douched the coach after the game just before the prize giving. And I dedicate this entire segment, which we will now wrap up, to our Fozy John Sangmeister, who, as I said, he doesn't like Jim Harbaugh, but he loves the University of Michigan. Theme song, fight song. To you, John Sangmeister, would do anything. Okay, Julie, I think if we had enough of that.
Yeah.
Okay, he probably doesn't want to hear that. What day is it today? There's your first and only clue.
Electric Hair Day.
That's pretty close. What day is it? It's a holiday. It's actually celebrated, I don't think elsewhere, but it is in the States. January 9th is Static Electricity Day, a day to honor this unexpected, mostly unpleasant, and sometimes hair-rising, I would have said hair-raising, phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And here's a video about it.
Result of a balance between negative and positive charges in objects. When two objects rub together, like your shoes on the carpet, electrons can jump from one to the other, creating that familiar shock when you touch a doorknob. But static electricity is more than just a party trick or a minor nuisance. It's a fundamental principle in physics, and understanding it has led to significant scientific and technological advancements. For example, photocopiers and laser printers rely on static electricity to transfer images and text from one medium to another. So the next time you pull a sweater over your head and your hair goes wild, remember that you're experiencing a basic but essential force of nature.
You gotta like that, kid. I didn't know that static electricity was behind photocopiers and.
I didn't either. Where
some
do
of
I?
those. Well, I think that depends on what kind of printing process
Yeah.
it is in the photocopier. National Static Electricity Day. Sangmeister's hair is probably going up like that right now after having to listen to the Michigan fight song not once but twice.
Yes.
Okay, John. We appreciate all of you. It's a bit hair raising.
Oh, stop.
Okay. We appreciate all of you who support us via Patreon, and we appreciate the support even more on days like today after the Michigan team. I see my yellow shirt, Julia.
Oh, yes.
You didn't comment on
Oh,
my
I
yellow
forgot.
shirt.
I forgot.
Shoot. You look like you're supporting Ohio State. That almost looks like scarlet and gray.
Well, if you don't watch out, I may have to start.
Oh, God forbid. Your Stanford colors are scarlet, aren't they? Just plain scarlet.
Cardinal.
Cardinal. Oh, Cardinal. Sorry. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. We appreciate it very much. This is show, if you notice at the top of the show 675. Do you remember when show 600 was? 600 was way back in March. And we've done 75 more shows. And that doesn't include
Watch parties?
watch parties. It doesn't include all the Gov Cup, the 10 shows we do for Gov Cup, the National Sailing Hall of Fame. Doesn't include any of that stuff. It's just our shows that we put together here for you on Tuesdays and Fridays. Do you know what we talked about? Remember we talked about on that show, 600? We talked about Emmett was comfortably numb in Italy. You talk about a guy who, as we say often, he gets around.
Yeah.
And we talked about Kuznirovitz and Prada winning the Star Bacardi Cup. Andu's repeat win. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's the 18-footer. Southern Ocean taking its toll on the fleet. That was in the Vendée, of course. And Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote was talk about tasering about talking at the Sandringham Yacht Club, which we're going to talk about again today because they've just wrapped up the Aussie Nationals and the Taser Worlds with 108 boats.
Yes. I always thought taser was an ER.
No, it's Tasar. And I think a Tasar, that like a laser is ER. Laser.
Yeah.
And a Tasar, which is another device similar to a laser but different, is TASAR. At least the yacht, the class is AR. I'm quite sure. Jody Shields is tripping. Oh, no, he's back from his trip. Just back in Oz after a great trip away with the boss lady. So I hope you had a good trip. He was in Bali, and then they were in Thailand, right?
Yep.
Stingray's going to get the first finger wag of this show, Julia. He's asking, does Julia prefer rooting?
I know. I saw it and I ignored it.
You did? Good for
Yes.
you. Good for you. Give him a finger wag anyway, the crouton. What else? Who's got it better than us? No, but Clark Chapin is, that's what Michigan was saying last night after their win.
Mm-hmm.
Kids look like living dandelion. Rick Banner, a good one. That's why you should always touch a metal part of your car door when refueling. Pete Carrigo. Hello, Pete. Long time. Thank you for that comment.
That's good to know.
Comfortably numb. Is that John Emmett's aftershave choice? Huh? That was good. Sweeney's good. He's on top of it. Hello, Graham Sweeney. Hello, everybody. Welcome to show 675. Let's get on. We got a massive Bravo Zulu here at the top of the show. To the kids that are on, the kids, I mean, they're youngsters, they're 20, whatever they are, sophomores in college, and that is the winners of this event, the Junior Snipe World Championship, which wrapped up a couple days ago down in Miami at the Coconut Grove Sailing Club. Julie, we have to get everybody to agree on whether it's the Junior Snipe World Championship or the Snipe Jr World Championship or the World Junior Snipe Championship. Everybody does it differently.
Yeah.
And I think our sport needs to rationalize that. So it's like the World Youth Sailing Championship, or is it the World Youth Sailing Championship? Everybody does it differently. I guess it doesn't matter at all. Terrific event in Miami, hosted over the years in a lot of different countries, a traditional event of SCIRA, the Snipe Class International Racing Association. This from their website about this championship. Be a part of history. They were promoting people to come, getting people to come to it. The Snipe Jr, see now it's the Junior World Championship, was first organized by Italy in 1973. First champions and winners of the Vieri Lazinio de Castelvero Trophy were Sudi and Haitanen from Finland.
Aha.
Since then, the event has been hosted by 13 different nations, including Russia, Denmark, Japan, Sweden, Portugal, Canada, Uruguay, Finland, Spain, Argentina, Brazil, and the U.S. The competitors list is impressive with its number of Olympians, national team members, and Snipe World and Continental champions. The point being that this class, which is regarded somewhat as an American class or as a Western Hemisphere class, because there's a lot of South American activity, it's also a European class, quite popular in Spain, as well as Finland and a few of the other countries, the Low Countries.
Yep.
Nice event. 47 teams at this Youth Worlds, Junior Worlds in Miami from 20 countries.
That's nice.
The age limit, I had to look this up because the class doesn't put out this kind of information and doesn't get it right at your fingertips, but age 10 is the minimum age. You must be at least 10, cannot have turned 23. So John Sangmeister, not to pick on him, but he would argue, as do others, that 23 is not a youth or a junior. You turn in most countries, you're an adult at age 18, sometimes younger.
Yeah.
And sometimes the age of majority is even as low as 16. And if you can go to war and fight a war at 18, if you can get a driver's license,
Yep.
if you can vote at 18, 21 is that you can drink in most countries younger than 21, here in the U.S. at 21.
Yeah.
But you're still a junior sailor until you're 23. I was also almost going to put a corrector crutonic in here because a lot of people think that's too old.
Yeah.
And because you're an adult, at 23, but
That's when you graduate from college, and that's how that got that way.
exactly right. And it's fairly recent. This is a
Yeah.
world sailing edict,
Yeah.
and people have more or less fallen in line with. It's not an edict. It's how they do it for their youth championships. So others are following suit. A terrific event in Biscayne Bay, not out in the ocean. And you can see the boats coming in. A good breeze. They had a couple light days and a couple of pretty breezy days. What a fabulous place to sail. It's chilly. It can be chilly. You can get a norther this time of year, and a little chilly out on the water anyway in January. The class goes from strength to strength. It's one of these classes that's in the Pan Am Games, never been in the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games would probably ruin it. But there you can see Justin Callahan and his twin brother Mitchell sailing on Augie Diaz's boat sailing for their home club, Biscayne Bay Yacht Club, which is there in Miami. The winners over Liam O'Keefe and Noah Zitrer, another Biscayne Bay Yacht Club team. And the Americans took the podium, Peter Foley and Henry Tyndall, for another Miami team, Coconut Grove team, so locals winning. And then two Spanish teams, charter boats and so on, and then down through 10th. So you had a Brazilian team and a Cayman Islands team and another American team, even a Chilean team in the top 10. But bravo Zulu to the brothers. Thanks to Lexi Pline for the photos and the videos that she supplied and overnight, because I didn't quite know what to run as the lead, LEDE, story today. But I like these two guys, these kids so much. The Callahan twins, that I thought we should run this as the story.
Right.
And as the lead story. And here they are with their coach, Lior Lavi, who's an Israeli originally. He's been in the States. He's now the coach at Cornell University. So he's a collegiate coach, and he's coached in other here in the States, other teams as well. And he's been with Justin and Mitchell on and off for years. So bravo Zulu to them and their coach. And here's a little video that was recorded at the end of the series with Justin and Mitchell.
Oh, it's incredible. 2 years ago, I finished fourth, not with Mitchell, but it was something really special to now do with your twin.
It's also even more incredible to do it with your longtime coach, Lior, and then also with our parents out on the water watching, and our grandma and our uncle, etc. So that was super cool.
We've had the support of so many people. We can't thank everyone enough. Between Augie has worked tirelessly, putting all these boats together, putting on a fantastic regatta, and Enrique and Charlie for helping us with the boat, Arthur for getting us a spare mast, Bruno's out there. It's a team effort, and we're just one piece of it, and we can't thank everyone enough for helping us out along the way. Sailing with your brother is probably the most special thing you can do, let alone being your twin brother. We sailed all of our high school career together in the I-420 and the Club 420, and we haven't sailed together since 2020 or so. So just jumping back in 4 years later, felt like nothing's changed, and I think it's one of the most special things you can do, and yeah, we couldn't be happier to do it together.
I think constant communication in the boat for sure. Definitely at least for me, because the boat's very new to me, so just a lot of trial and error throughout the race. Just staying consistent, staying level-headed. I think that really prevailed. What's next? Going back to college sailing. Looking forward to nationals in the hometown venue this year. That'll be very exciting.
Now, speaking of college sailing, these two sailed in the Gulf Cup last summer down at Balboa Yacht Club. And, we did that road to the Governor's Cup, Andy and I interviewing each of the skippers anyway, as we did last year. And I've got a video from our interview with Justin last year in a moment. But speaking of college sailing, these kids both qualified, both got into Harvard, and this is signing their letter of intent to go there and sailing at Harvard is a bit of a deal, more so than perhaps at the University of Michigan. So they signed the letters of intent when they were seniors in high school a couple of years ago, went to Harvard last year as their freshman year, and they both were All-Americans in their freshman year.
Wow.
In collegiate sailing. College sailing is a big deal, particularly in the Northeast, particularly out here on the West Coast, down on the Gulf Coast for that matter. And these two guys were both named collegiate All-Americans as freshmen, which is already a huge accomplishment, let alone all the other stuff they've done before and since. Now that they're sophomores, they're in their sophomore or second year of the 4 years at Harvard, Justin has just been elected Harvard team captain. Very rare for it to be a junior or a senior, but it's a sophomore. And since they've been there sailing for Harvard, Harvard's ranking has gone up from more or less 20th, and they are now ranked number 1. And that changes, from week to week, month to month, but they're right in the top echelon of college sailing teams. So bravo Zulu to both of them, to their teammates, and they've raised the level of the team. This is co-ed sailing, and otherwise at Harvard sailing in NISA, New England Interscholastic Sailing Association. How's that? I dragged that out of my
I'm proud of you. Yes.
memory from way back.
Yeah, well, that's neat. They look happy anyway.
And that was their signing their letter. That only usually happens in basketball and football when they sign a letter of intent. And somebody goes down. This was the CBS station in Miami. Covered this when they signed their letters of intent to go sail at Harvard. Julia, you should have recruited them for Stanford.
They needed it.
Well, Stanford's plenty good too. They won the national championship last year.
Women.
They won the national co-ed with an all-women's team.
That's correct.
Bravo Zulu to them. Okay, these kids are great sailors, needless to say. Here is the video, the Road to the Governor's Cup video from last, call it May. I think we recorded this in May, prior to the Gov Cup. And Justin Callahan, we had Justin Callahan together with Morgan Pinckney, the two of them. We did Justin first and only play that part of it. When he says, I was just fourth in the Snipe Jr Worlds, and I'm really looking forward to winning the Snipe Worlds next year. I hope that's a goal, so which he now has achieved.
Yes.
Have a look. Why is that video not going?
We've each of
There we
the
go.
guys has submitted some slides, and this we'll start with Justin. Alphabetically, he's
Justin.
also the newbie, having not competed in the Governor's Cup before, but has had a terrific sailing career, starting in the Opti class, I guess, Justin.
Yeah, I started out in the Opties probably when I was 9. Was fortunate enough to be teammates with my brother, and we were great training partners. Ended up winning a few team race worlds and a few team trials and nationals. So it was a great run. And started moving on to bigger and better things like match racing.
Speaking of your brother, here's a shot from here in San Francisco, I believe, with your dad, whom I've known forever. I love the guy, Paul Callahan. And this is your brother, Mitchell, who I understand is crewing for you in this year's Governor's Cup.
Yeah, we have a great team with us. I'm lucky enough to keep sailing with Mitchell. We're best friends and great teammates. So, we got Mitchell on the bow. Our best friend from back home, who we grew up sailing with, Liam, trimming main. And then my high school crew, Danny, in the pit with us. So we got a great team coming, and we're super excited to be here.
Okay, so I'm wondering, I was just going to thumb through to see if, I wonder if the Liam he referred to as being their third crew at Gov Cup is the same Liam that was runner-up just now in the Snipes. Maybe somebody knows and puts that in the comments. But these kids are an amazing sailing team, and even though they're twins, they're obviously not identical twins because Mitchell's a hell of a lot bigger. He's got to be half a foot taller than Justin.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's why Justin drives. It keeps the lighter of, because they're both great helmsmen. It keeps the lighter of the two of them in the back end of the boat, and it also, if they're on a trapeze boat, it gets Mitchell out on the wire. And I wonder also if that's why Justin is so nice talking about Mitchell, because he's afraid Mitchell will beat him up if he's not nice. Okay, I'm teasing.
Nah.
Thanks again to Lexi Pline and to the photographer, Clark Chapin apparently knows her, who helped me overnight get some of these photos in high res. I had crummy low-res photos off various websites. Why don't people get the high-res websites for high-res photos for websites for these classes? If we want mainstream media or even croutonic media like us to pick the stuff up, you really don't want to have low-res stuff. Just that's one thing I'll say about Richard Gladwell and sail-world.com.
Yeah.
They get the high-res stuff. They publish the high-res stuff. And when in doubt, I try to go to, that's why I go to Sail World. Because it's nicer stuff. Okay, bravo Zulu to them. Paul Callahan is a mensch. He's just a terrific guy as well. Got to know these kids in match racing at the Gov Cup the last couple of years, and they had a good showing. They got in, and this was both of them, but it was Justin helming for the first time at Gov Cup, and he got into the Final Four. He got beaten actually by Morgan Pinckney, from memory, in the Petit Finale, which of course Jeffrey Peterson went on to win the Gov Cup for the second time. And I hope they're there again this year. Andy Rose, and I'm not involved in the selection process, but Andy and the others down at Balboa Yacht Club will no doubt be firing that up and sending out the paperwork shortly for the Governor's Cup, which this year, the 57th edition, will take place the 22nd to the 27th, July 22, 27, 2024, at the esteemed Balboa Yacht Club in Newport Beach. And we'll do our lead up. All other things being good in our world and theirs, and we'll do our road to the Governor's Cup with the eventual 12 chosen, because they're invited by resume, invited sailors. I hope to see these guys back. Regardless, bravo Zulu to Justin and Mitchell Callahan of Miami for winning yet another championship, the Snipe Jr Worlds, as you will have seen in our cover shot. Julia, should we go to comments?
Yeah, there are several things here that John Hanfield says, thank God for Title IX, or these non-money making sports would go the way of the dodo bird.
Yeah, you want to explain Title IX?
Title IX funds women's sports, and
it was a federal.
Yeah, it's a federal law which
that was ostensibly anti discrimination,
Right.
requiring colleges
Yeah.
to
Be
fund women's sports,
Yes.
women's sports.
Yes.
And then as a result, it was a big benefit to sports like sailing, which is a co-ed sport,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Title IX. Groover is saying, I have not been to, excuse me, to a sailing club in Europe that does not have snipes.
Yes, I saw that earlier.
That's
yeah.
an interesting comment. I've been to a few in Europe I can think of that don't have snipes, but for sure when we lived in Valencia, Spain, all the local clubs, and there was a lot of snipe racing right there off the Real Club de, what is it? Real Club Náutico de Valencia. Good coffee, Julia.
I have a chef.
I just back on Title IX for a second. John Sangmeister is making a comment. He's saying Title IX, question mark, it's dead. And what he's meaning is because, and we should debate this at some point, but luckily our sport has women's sailing, so far at least, has women's sailing, men's sailing, and co-ed. Mm-hmm. And most of the high-end sailing is co-ed in our sport, which is great.
Yeah.
Or a lot of it anyway. But these sports where they are letting biological men,
Yeah, or football.
well, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
have women.
boxing, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Biological men compete as women because they identify as women. I'm sorry, I think it's cretonic. I hope our sport is smarter than that and runs co-ed open stuff when in doubt, because that's the way our sport is generally oriented. So that's that comment from John Sangmeister, which gives me a chance to follow up. Here in Mar del Plata, Neil Collingridge is down there with John Emmett. With Jemmett, he says, here in Mar del Plata, it's just starting to rain to make it feel like home. Very few snipes in the UK. John appears to have headbutted an Ilka trolley today. Uh-oh. We don't have many snipes in the UK. John Emmett is now on. And Hanfield saying your chromosomes should determine your gender sport. Okay, well, we'll get into that another time. Are there any other comments we should... What's Baton Rouge saying? He usually is making an interesting comment. I think the classes have been upping the JR distinction to keep the fleets popular. The JR meaning junior, the age.
Yes,
limit.
he said that earlier. Yes, that's probably true.
It is probably true. Yeah, it was World Sailing. I guess they're having a drinking game, Julie. Did you see that comment from Jonathan Frank, who did another fabulous painting when he was in Chicago? I ran it on my top of my Facebook page the other day. He's saying World Sailing, bottoms up. So every time I say World Sailing, World Sailing, World Sailing, which I think actually World Sailing is doing a pretty good job these days.
Better.
I think David Graham, who's the CEO, is doing a pretty good job. It sounds like. Tell me if I'm wrong. Clark Chapin's going about static electricity here, he being the fuel expert at still is a fuel engineer and formerly with Generous Motors, as we call them. What else? You are going to stop that, are you? You are not going to stop that. I don't know what she's talking about, Julie Ahrens. What about that? Okay, yeah, it's raining here. Oh, now the sun's out, Julia.
Yeah.
Here in San Francisco, it's gotten rainy, and it's that time of year when we can have the odd rainstorm. But down in Argentina, where John is, and from whence his report today comes, it's a nice day. This is John Emmett. Coach's Corner, Super Fozy John Emmett reporting in with this nice video.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fozy. You join me on my leisurely walk to the sailing club this morning. It's Yacht Club Argentina and it's been incredibly welcoming. I've had a few comments asking me, what do I think about Argentina? And it's interesting, you tend to put yourself in a bubble, so that bubble's got, I don't know, a gym, a supermarket, a hotel, an Airbnb, this sort of thing, and then you focus on the sailing. Now, some things obviously obvious in Argentina. There is a lot of inflation here, so we see sometimes the price of goods will change on a daily basis, and indeed some restaurants don't have menus with prices on. You scan a QR code, and then that tells you what the prices are on that day. But yeah, we carry on business as normal, and those skill sets that tend to do lead to good performances are really what matters here. So yeah, I feel very lucky to travel the world, and Argentina is a super friendly place. I say even in the gyms, wherever, people always very, very happy to chat and ask what you're doing, where you come from. Although now people normally ask, am I here as a coach, rather am I here as a sailor? But you know, that's the way it goes. Had to happen sooner or later. I guess it's now the same reason people ask me, do I have a wife, rather than do I have a girlfriend? But yeah, I've really enjoyed the time in Argentina here. Conditions have been great, and I feel very much those sailors you expect to do well, in other words, those who've historically done well, are the ones who are doing well here. Gold Fleet is always where there's a lot of place changing going on, and of course those countries trying to qualify, just making it into the Gold Fleet is a really big deal. So it's going to be emotional, but yeah, sailing has to be, you know, like that. It's a sport, and to a certain extent it's elite. It would be great if every country could have somebody at Olympic Games. That's not the situation, so we have to qualify. And I just wish everybody the very best of luck, and I'm enjoying the competition here immensely. Nothing's perfect. We may find in China, you know, we have better facilities, but we don't have such nice big strong winds and waves. I don't know, but it's about making the best of it. And it leads me on to the selection process. We've talked about this quite a lot, and I do think there's a different skill set, whether it's the detail, so sailing in swell, sailing waves, sailing flat water, strong current, weak current, etc. And that's why we always try and periodise our training, prioritise what's important, get to know venues well. And the other thing I'd say in terms of a selection trials, there's a very big difference in skill set in performing where there's lots of fast boats or where there's very few. So hopefully the audio is okay. I seem to be finding busy roads, but that's just the way to go. And this point is really important. It's a very different skill set winning a competition when there's just two fast boats in the fleet. In fact, winning a competition where there's two boats or whatever who are fast, notably faster than everyone else, is almost a match racing type skill. That is very different from being, say, at a World Championships, where there's at least 12 boats who are potentially all in the hunt for medals, podium places. And that's actually what you have at the Olympics, because by definition, you know, there aren't slow boats at the Olympics. Maybe top 25% of the fleet will have a small speed advantage, but that's very different from most people. In fact, that's very different from everyone from sailing at home, where the number of fast boats is actually much smaller. So it's this skill set that you can sail in that top quality fleet, which you need to replicate when you decide who's going to go to the Olympic Games. And the next few regattas will make a lot of big decisions. So for those countries who haven't selected at the moment, the 2024 Worlds, 2024 Europeans, 2024 Palma will probably be the key events. And then who knows what will happen at the last chance regatta in the air. Already, I think there's going to be some good sailors who won't make it this time, and that pressure is starting to show. But the ability to perform under pressure is absolutely vital. And you'll see sometimes when that pressure goes, when the selection has been made and that sailor can then concentrate on what they need to do, the performance goes up. And it's the same with a squad system where you have one size fits all, you do the training that benefits the whole group. Actually, after the final selection is made, then you can probably look at optimising the training for the individual who you know is going to go to that Olympic Games, because their needs may be very slightly different from the whole group, and you need that buy-in. As I say, performance, it's like a container ship. It takes a long time to get up to full speed, and we're talking years and years of hard training, and eventually you will get there. You know, I always think it's about discipline rather than motivation, because nobody is motivated every day to train, but you can have the discipline to always go and do what you need to do. So really happy to answer any questions on the show, and assuming I'm off the water in time, I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.
Argentina, inflation. where the only, what did I say in the show notes? The only thing that's not inflated are the egos. Nice people. Jonathan Frank will he will also chime in and tell us, because he's apparently flying back and forth, or has any number of times, the airline pilot that he is
Yes.
for United Airlines.
Wonder what I was doing with the newly discovered
Well,
Boeing.
I've got a joke at the end of the show that we'll dedicate to Jonathan
Okay.
that Sangmeister sent to me just before the show. Yeah, 200 did I see? 200 of those 737s now have been grounded
All of them have been grounded now.
because they found some others that have got some cracky leakies. Well, remember when what was that, a 737 that it was flying to Hawaii,
Hawaii, yeah.
and it was Southwest or something, and the top of it blew off?
Yeah, and I had done that exact flight about a week earlier.
Well, and the problem is that again, Jonathan and can tell you way better than I, and Clark and Stingray for that matter, who's
Right.
worked at Boeing all these years, aircraft engineer. We should probably get the three of them on to talk about
That
some
would be
of this
interesting,
stuff.
yeah.
But it's, as the things go up and come down and do that 3 or 4 times a day, these short, they've gone to these short legs, and the stuff expands and contracts under the pressure, and expands and contracts, and after a while, it works, they get cracks and so on.
Yeah.
Gretz, this comment from Graham Sweeney, just got the news that Ecuadorian, there's a T there, but I assume he means Ecuadorian TV studio, was invaded by gun-toting criminals with bombs. Our world has indeed gone crazy. Well, I want you all to know that's why we have Julia here in this studio. She's between me and the door.
I know.
So
I'm protecting you.
behind Julia is the door here to Studio B. So she's protecting us. If somebody were to break in the front door,
Right.
come down the hall, I suppose we'd hear them. But man, that is alarming. Not the first time, but I suppose. Julie Aarons was talking about playing the Michigan Fight song. It didn't send when I put it up. Charlotte Rose was 5th at the last World Championships, and she is sailing very well. John Emmett is saying down there, Charlotte from the USA, down at the ILCA 6 event. And we will check in on that with John. I think that wraps up here shortly. And what the people in BA are absolutely wonderful, Jonathan Frank said.
Yes. Agreed.
Hanfield's reminding us of Air California in 1983, was it? No, it was Hawaiian Air that the PAPS bonding became free.
Yeah, somebody says Hawaii flight. It was an old 737.
Who's Tracker? Come on, come tell us who you are, Tracker, else
This
we're not.
is Ed
Oh, it's
Worley.
Ed Worley. Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, while John's video was playing, I checked YouTube, and the audio is coming through loud and clear on
good.
YouTube. We monitor our stream, believe it or not, with everything else we have to do. There's Andrew Dolly DeVolt. Hi from the Australian Skiff Champs in Sydney. He just sailed in the windsurfer Australian Champs or Worlds, and there was a big turnout. And he's not a spring chicken.
Yeah.
And bless his heart, bravo Zulu to him. He did quite well and survived that event. Jonathan Frank is saying, Julia, the 737 type in question is the latest version of the jet, the 737 MAX. Jonathan, what's the seating capacity of the MAX? Hi, Don Lunabos up in Sonoma. He says the audio and video are good. Thank you, sir, for that. Does Ryman wants to know, Julia, if you wear Kevlar scarf?
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to have to put a bulletproof door there, like in an airplane,
Yeah.
in the cabin of an airplane, you separate. There's Derek Klein is on. Derek, who's from Ann Arbor originally, is my nephew, I think, technically speaking. JW is our age, Tom. He is old than Greg Phillips, but that's great. Great. Okay. Thanks, John Emmett, for that. We'll get your outro music here. John Emmett sailing into the front of the fleet. I got another Emmett video at the end. It's his 2023 wrap video, and I'll play it at the end of the show in the last leg slot where we kind of do a video that's nice and very nicely demonstrative, shall I say, of our sport, Julia. John Emmett sailing. What happened, Julia, on this day in history, the 9th of January? Any idea? You want a clue? Oh, I haven't given you the bloody year. I'm reading the comments. 1902. Here's your first clue. Here's your second clue. Mulberry Street on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, of New York, in the 1900s, in the jostling street scenes of New York, New York, men had to be careful. Is that because of stepping in the horse poop? What happened on this day in history in 1902 in New York? A crackdown on lovers in New York. No joke. Not a factory fire, not people drowned by molasses. Good one, Gordon Smith. It's the day God gifted Donald Trump to the world. No, Stingray, he's a little younger than that. In 1902, New York State Assemblyman Francis G. Landon, talk about croutons, gets maybe not a crouton, maybe he's a visionary, gets a bill passed to criminalize men turning around on a street and, quote, looking at women in that way, Julia.
In that way, yeah.
In that way.
Woo!
Would have you supported a law like that?
Sure.
Well, you wouldn't have supported that law.
No.
You like it. Yeah, I mean, we've talked on this show and over a cocktail or otherwise up in the Commodore suite. And this whole stuff about sexual harassment, she said, anybody and I got sexual harassed all the time, you said.
Yeah.
When you were the lead, the only female at your headhunting firm and chairman of this and that,
yeah.
Chairman of the committee, what was the House Committee? You were the first female House Committee chair over at St. Francis Yacht Club. And you would do what when somebody...
You're kidding. you're telling me that? You gotta take another look, buddy.
You think I would go with you?
Yeah, if you think I would go with you, you gotta be crazy.
That's good. They're back and forth on the plane. Well, we all fly. I've never been nervous about flying. I figure if it's going to happen, it's so rare that it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so rare that it happens. You're more likely to probably have somebody break in the front door here, the way things are going in San Francisco of late.
Anyway.
Or maybe not break in here, but walking around the marina, which used to be completely safe, and now we wouldn't walk after dark. I'm a little hesitant to put the garbage cans out on Wednesday nights, after dusk, after dark.
Yeah.
Because, there's croutons running around here in
There
the
are.
beautiful Marina District of San Francisco. But wait, there's more. Not only did that happen on the 9th of January, 1902, I wonder how long that law lasted on the books. He was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
He was woke before he knew. Here's your first clue about what else happened more recently on the 9th of January.
Well, which edition of the iPhone is that?
There's another clue.
Is that the first one?
It is the first one. Well done, Julia. On this day in history, January 9, 2007. It's not that long ago. Not that long ago.
I was in the audience listening to him.
You were?
Yes.
At Macworld?
At Macworld.
Steve Jobs introduces the Apple iPhone at Macworld in San Francisco. I don't think they were live streaming those events then.
No.
But they did have a video that they then put up. I mean, 07 wasn't that long ago, 17 years, right? 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And, I, in my own little way, thought, because I had a Palm Pilot, and you had some of these phones that had a keyboard on it, and they were frankly croutonic.
Yeah.
Why can't they have a touchscreen keyboard? And I couldn't have ever convinced Steve Jobs or anybody else to produce something like that. But he not only convinced himself, but everybody else around him that this was a product that changes everything.
Yeah, and I think he had this in the back of his mind all the time, because it's the person-to-person communication that he was after. And that would be the most portable.
Well, it was a computer in the pocket,
Yeah.
and more than anything, and none of us could appreciate apps at that point. I couldn't, at least. Did you understand what this thing would lead to with apps and banking apps and travel apps and ordering your food? I mean, we ordered a pizza last night during the Michigan game on an app on the phone. Click,
Yeah.
click, click.
Yeah.
And it was here in 20, 25 minutes. So it's the day normal conversation between people died.
You're right, John Hanfield.
But also that technology, as it was been pointed out by any number of people, that has led to wearables. People are wondering where my other watch is, my fancy watch, but it broke. I've got to take it down to Newport Beach to have it fixed. It broke. It stopped running. It's now on the Rolex, which is never, it's always running
Yeah.
a little. It runs faster.
Does it?
Yeah, it runs fast. So you always set it early, and then it catches up. But this one is accurate all the time. It's just like the studio clocks, but the Rolex is now accurate
Yeah.
twice a day. Spot on, twice a day.
Yeah.
Got to get that one fixed. What else? Other comments here. We're over 100 comments already. We're only 53 minutes into the show. By the way, the U.S. Olympic trials are also going on. We'll cover that on Friday. A couple of you made comments about that, but it was this device that led to the phone. I had an iPhone 1, as probably many of you did, early adopters that you are, and probably reasonably affluent because they weren't cheap, but they also were pretty cool.
Yeah.
And since I think I long since threw the one out or gave it to somebody or something. I saw today online, you could, on, tell me what, eBay,
Yeah.
they are going at auction, a good one,
Yeah.
especially if it was in the original box or
Right.
has the original
Right.
box. They're going for $39,000,
Oh,
the original iPhone.
I have the. I didn't go until the 2.
No, I had a 1. I've had not every one, but I had all the early ones. The 4 was magnificent. Why are we talking about iPhones?
I don't know.
Hanfield says he still uses a 6. Excuse me. Derek Klein, don't cut yourself short on the technology. You've done a great job putting this show to. Now, that's a very kind comment from Derek, who is a professional videographer. I mean, he makes us, Julia, he makes us look like, pikers.
But-
He can appreciate, because this is what he does professionally up
Yeah.
in Seattle. He grew up in Michigan, and he is the real deal when it comes to professional video and videography. And he can tell this is a 4-camera show. He knows our bit rate and our, with 1080p 30 frames and yada, yada.
You do an unbelievable job.
Well, after 7 years, going on now 8 years,
Practice.
one would hope.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with Samsung Ultras for the superior cameras. Man, that iPhone 15 Max, Pro Max camera is pretty amazing, John Emmett. Can't wait to see the 16. Thanks, Derek Klein, for your kind comment. Yeah, host, technical director at the. What's the harder thing is keeping the audio going over here on the right. And I screw up the audio. I turn our mics down so you can't hear us jabbering during the videos, or forget to.
Yes.
And then changing the slides over here with this, it's a bit, it's a bit patting your head and rubbing your belly. Can you do that?
Yeah.
I'd never been able to do that very well. Okay, and of course, especially without messing up my hair.
Heavens.
Emmett is saying even the Pro 15 Max, the 15 Pro Max, only has a five times optical zoom, not so helpful coaches who have to be 100 meters. Well, then that's a different deal, John. But the best camera you've got is the camera that's with you.
Oh, yes.
And I could not be bothered to get Sony makes the nicest sensors, and everybody, at least for the prosumer style cameras, I can't be bothered to go buy a Sony camera and spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on lenses, various glass, as people like Derek Klein would call it, and go off and take, but John Emmett, I understand he's out on the water.
Gotta do
He's
that,
got
yeah.
to waterproof his camera. He's trying to take, and he needs image stabilization because he's bumping around.
Right.
And of course, the iPhone has quite good image stabilization. Amazing. We used to use an iPhone here in the studio,
Yes.
but as one of the cameras, I can't remember which one, but it was a pain. They don't work very well.
Well,
as
the first one was
video
iPhone.
cameras.
Our first camera was an iPhone.
Well, our very first one, it was
Yes.
on a tripod. That was
Right.
before you could live stream
Right.
through the internet, via the internet. You could only use an iPhone
Yep.
to Apple's streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we did it. We could do it to that. But okay, enough of all that. We did digress.
I can never think of iPhones and unless I talk about the Dick Tracy watch, and I've always wanted a Dick Tracy.
Well, you have
watch.
one now, don't you?
Of course, but I at the time of Dick Tracy watches, I thought, oh, that'll never be possible.
Well, this is a Dick Tracy watch.
It is,
And
better.
I'm using it. I'm learning to use it now that I'm forced to use it since the other watch needs a repair. Emmett says I have just one lens. Well, what is it, John? It's a big, long telephoto lens for his Sony FX3, which is a high-end video camera. The Sony FX3 and Sony FX30 are both highly. iPhone Illustrated, Wingrove is saying, yeah, indeed. Mm-hmm. And Suzuki, hello, Matt. Long time. He's saying hi from frozen Britannia. You should ask Philippe Kahn for some camera phone background. Now, Julia, you know who Philippe Kahn is.
Yes,
And is he still a member of St. Francis, or is he
I think so.
member of Santa Cruz Yacht Club? Well, one of the great technology sailor technologists who invented the software that runs still today, and that's why he's so wealthy. He maybe not today, but he invented the software that ran the original phone cameras, phone cams.
Mm-hmm.
Philippe Kahn, great sailor.
Yes.
iPhone Illustrated. Have a GM2. So that's John's lens, f2.8. Say, 70 to 200. That's a long lens. Invented the camera phone, Matt Suzuki is saying. Yeah, he basically did.
Yeah.
The resolving power of mobile phones will never be good as a good DSLR. Now, that is from a pro, Graham Sweeney.
That's also true, but I don't carry one around.
As you know, Graham is a photographer of eminent. He's an eminent photographer. We had him on the show here and did one of our more popular shows.
Right.
As we've had other photographers
Yeah.
on here. Okay, enough of iPhone Illustrated. On this day in history, in 2007, 17 years ago, the first iPhone. I should have kept it. I should have kept the box. Hey, Julia. You do that.
Yes, I may have.
You're pretty good at all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you didn't get a 1. You had a 2.
I got
a
a
2
2.
was, that was just a slight improvement. Speaking of cool people, we have an AAAA today from Alistair. Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. From same thing we were talking about, show 600. 75 shows later, we're talking about tasers again. Here is his report from the Taser Nationals and Worlds, which have just concluded. There were the Nats, then they took a day off or so. Alistair sailed in both, had struggled in the Nats because he didn't have his regular crew in either event, but he came better in the Worlds, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Here is his first of 2 reports.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. This is AAAA, Alice's awesome Aussie anecdote. Maybe the last one for the year, but I might squeeze another one in. We'll see how we go. I'm at home and about to head down to the yacht club for the Taser Worlds. But before we get into that, how was that finish of the Sydney Hobart race? We turned on a real ripper for you there. That was really close, really exciting, and man, does it get a lot of press here in Australia. So yes, the Taser Nationals and Worlds are being held here at Sandringham Yacht Club over the next couple of weeks, and I obviously will be competing. The Nationals are the 29th to the 31st of December, and the Worlds are the 2nd to the 9th of January. The forecast is 20 to 25 and 20 to 25 for the next week. So when I say that, it's 20 to 25 degrees and 20 to 25 knots. So it should be, pretty breezy, and we've got a bit on. We've got 85 in the Nationals boats and 110 in the World, so we're pretty pleased with that turnout. So I first did the Nationals 43 years ago, and I won them 31 years ago, so I'm perhaps a little bit past my best. I first did the Worlds 38 years ago. And the best I finished at the Worlds is 4th, top 10 quite a few times, and I won the World Masters back in, I think it was 92. I'm much slower now. I've hardly sailed, no training. The body ain't what it used to be, and it's going to be a bit of a struggle. I was to sail with my daughter Claire, and as you may have heard, she fell down the stairs a few days ago and sprained her ankle. So in a moon boot for 6 weeks, unable to compete. So I picked up a new crew, a girl called Misha from the yacht club. She's 18 years old, and she and I sailed the Tazar together for the first time she's ever sailed a Tazar yesterday. So that should be interesting. I'll bring you a report or two during the series, including maybe a walk or two around the boatyard. We've got 7 countries represented, so we've got quite a good contingent of Americans, Japanese, Kiwis, Poms, Germany, maybe France, and the 7 countries. Our first races are today in the Nationals. So I've got 2 or 3 races today, and the body's going to be suffering tomorrow, I can tell you. But hoping for, you know, some good fun, to be friends with Misha at the end of the day, to finish in the top half of the fleet, and to finish in one piece. That's the goal, and for everybody to have fun. I'll bring you reports, as I said, as we go. I'm sure I'll talk to you before the new year, but if I don't, a very happy new year to all the Fosey and to Tom and Julia. It's been a great year with you guys. Thanks, checking out from AAAA, and wish me luck. Okay, bye.
So he got through the Nationals. You were going to say?
No, I would go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No.
Okay. He was terrific. Didn't do very well in the Nats, from what I understand. We don't need to go into all that, but look at the beautiful photos from Nathan Aldridge's brother, Bo.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you talk about great photographers and videographers, and how smart are the Aussies for sending him around with their Olympic team. He goes around not only to events like this, but they, you know, Alistair and the Australian Sailing, as their national governing body is called, send Bo around to help promote their Australian Olympic team at events. This event at his beloved Sandringham Yacht Club had 108 boats from, he said, what, I think 7 countries. Maybe I counted 6. Did he say 6? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I counted. I went through, because these clubs, and this club does a great job, but would you please say X many teams from X many countries, and have it someplace? They ought to have factoids. They ought to have a, what do I want? FAQs, frequently asked questions. That should be one of the things on your website for a regatta, FAQ. Mm-hmm. How many boats? How many countries? Who won it last time?
Yeah.
How many races? What are the dates? You know, the simple bulletproof stuff. Make it easy for lazy-ass journalists. And I'm not lazy. I'll sit here all night last night during the football game, putting this show together, and then all morning this morning from dark 30 until literally right up. Julia comes down here. I dash in and get, you know, I'm not looking for a pat on the back. But, you know, I go the extra length to try to come up with these factoids. And it's difficult. These organizers make it difficult. Make it easy. And if it's hard for me, other people must just say, screw this. Or they get lazy. So, okay, so much for that rant. But Worlds, a fabulous event, 108 boats from 6 countries, give or take. I counted the flags up on the score sheet. And then Alistair did a couple other videos. He did one with a race officer. Maybe I'll run them next Tuesday. But he did this sweet video. It's terrific. With the esteemed Nick Douglas, who is with her father, I think a Tazar national champion, if not world champion. She and her dad have been campaigning Tazars, and Alistair caught up with her during the Worlds. Have a look.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosey at Sailing Illustrated. This is AAAA, Alistair's Awesome Aussie Anecdote, and I'm here with Nick Douglas, the Sailor Girl.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone. And I should point out that she's standing on a step.
I am.
Yeah, so she's actually quite a bit shorter than this.
It's
but
my
this is
prerogative.
good to be on a level playing field
And
here. No, don't do that. So we're here at the Tazar Worlds together, and you and I go way back in Tazars, don't we, Nick?
Way back. So there's 108 Tazars in this boat park, which is pretty cool, and it's actually quite, hilarious or interesting. There were 108 tasers here at the Worlds in 1998, and I remember that because that was my first World Championship.
Ah, fantastic.
And that's when I met you.
Yeah, and we've done how many worlds?
11.
11.
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
And how many have you won?
3.
And how many have I won?
I'm not sure.
None.
I was being nice.
No. I've been top 10 about 6 times.
Yeah.
4th is the best, but I've never achieved your heights. But anyway, what do you think of this regatta?
Oh, it's incredibly tough out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your home venue. We've got a northerly blowing at the moment, which is incredibly unusual.
Yeah.
So I think the depth of the fleet is really good. We've got an American boat leading at the moment. Still a chance that an Aussie team could take the top gun. I think we've got
Absolutely.
3 boats that could definitely give it a shunt. So that's good from a local perspective. And they're all boats out of here. So that's good for you, isn't it, Al?
Ah, yeah. I'd love to see a Japanese boat win it.
Oh, that'd be good.
That would be good for the class. But
Yeah.
but we'll go with the hometown favourites.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Tom and Julia a bit about the Taser, to quite some extent. Let's go to the Sydney Hobart race and talk about that.
Okay.
You did the most amazing coverage of the finish of it.
Thank you,
One
Al.
of the best finishes in the history of the race. Tell me about being down there.
Well, I'm still tired, I think.
Oh yeah? Yeah.
Might have affected my taser performance. But yeah, it was incredible. I think not only because the line honours finish was so close, but then the overall victory, which I know a lot of you guys will all be interested in with the IRC, was also down to the wire. And then you had little battles all the way through the fleet, like the winner of IRC 1 came down to a battle in the Derwent. And I think that's what we like in yacht racing. I love that sailing is not like the F1, like you've got a winner out in front all the time. It can come down to the wire, and I think that's what we've seen at this regatta too, which is what keeps us coming back. You know, that like yesterday we had some people who had won a race and had a 40th. So you've got to stay on your toes, and consistency is important. And yeah, it was just one of those finishes where you just couldn't give up, and that's everything that we love in sailing. You know, go out there, sail hard, don't give up, and maybe you'll win.
Yeah, good on you.
Boom.
Well, the Sail Girl's doing a great job of covering sailing worldwide. Where are you off to next?
Oh, so I have the VX1 Nationals next at Brighton, and then the Festival of Sails at Geelong, which is a pretty important regatta. It's the oldest regatta that we have in Australia, so it's nice to be part of history there. And then I get a bit of time off before the Sail GP in Sydney.
Good on you, Nick. Great chatting to you at the Taser Worlds. Big hug to say goodbye. See ya. Bye.
Oh, come on. House, as I said, sweet, and it's just nice. I mean, he is such a nice guy, and she's obviously a terrific promoter of the sport, does great video.
She does.
Nice advertising, Gordon Smith is saying, for Ronstadt. You see it there in the photo? Of course we do. Somebody said it looks like his propeller's not mounted properly. He's a wingnut, for sure. If I wore a hat like that, you all would say, how Crutonic, you look like an idiot. And you would too. Mm-hmm. Bad enough I'm wearing a yellow shirt and a blue blazer for my beloved University of Michigan. If Comanche had his hat, they might have won with some added breeze. Anfield. Okay, love the beanie, Clark Che. They all like the hat. Julia, I'm going to get one of those and wear it, and I'll be ridiculed from here to eternity.
Yes, you will.
Andrew Dolly DeVola, ADD, we're going to call you. Andrew is, this report is a bit behind. This was mid-regatta, but I've got the finals here at what's happened. But before that, we're going to do a Bo Outeridge video. We're talking about Bo. He did these photos, but he also did a way cool video on each of the days, I think. This is from day 3, so this may not be the ultimate day. But look at this nice video from Bo.
We were amazed that the people here are really nice. They just smile at us for no reason. And we're like, oh, we gotta smile them back. When the wind gets strong, it's really hard. And apparently we don't weigh too much, so it's really hard.
How much do you weigh?
About 120 in total.
What's your goal?
First of all, to have fun.
Yeah.
And second of all, probably come back safely with no harm.
Yeah, it was a tricky day. There was a lot of upwind current, which made the starting really hard. Both races were interesting, challenging tactically. and the wind up and down. And yeah, it was a tricky day, really, as all the races have not been straightforward.
We raced hard out on the water and come in and have a wonderful time on shore. And it's kind of hard to do that anywhere else, so we keep coming back for more.
It is a very interesting boat too. It's a strict one design that all the sails are the same, the boats are the same, spars are all the same. But having said that, it's quite tricky to set it up properly for different conditions. It's very light, so it's a lot of fun downwind, even though there's no spinnaker.
The design itself was way ahead of its time. Rotating mast and the skinny blades and the hard chines and the lightness of the boat really make it fun to sail if you're a sailor's sailor and you really just like the feel of the water and like the feel of the boat underneath you.
So there are the winners. Jonathan, excuse me, Jonathan and Libby McKee from Seattle, friends of Stingrays. And as ADD was saying, AM report a bit behind. Yeah, but they were leading and they have now won. And by the way, that Windsurfer Worlds that Andrew sailed in had 255 boards from 14 nations. Yeah. He says, yes, I am now old and disabled, finished 10th out of 255. Bravo Zulu, Andrew. He sent me a picture or two. So we have cool Fozy on here. There's just no question about it. And I don't even have to repeat it. Alistair himself is on here. I don't mind looking like an idiot, just disappointed the prop wasn't spinning. Oh, gosh. Nice video. Yeah, really nice video. And thanks to Bo Outeridge and to all of you involved in that. So on to just a couple notes. Bravo Zulu, obviously, to Jonathan and Libby. I've known Jonathan since forever. Olympic medalist here from as far back as, I think he was the FD gold medalist here in '84 when we won a medal in every class.
Oh, yeah.
Down in L.A., Long Beach. And his wife, Libby, they were neighbors of ours in Valencia, Spain. He was with Luna Rosa. And I had Libby and I became friends down there in Valencia for some reason. We were comparing notes and doing some video type things. She is an ex-Microsoftie.
Oh, is she?
She worked for Microsoft. She had plenty of Microsoft stock.
Good for her.
And she's, I think, doing very well. I think they both are. And he's just a very bright guy. So their boat, Dr. Beverly, was the name of their boat. They displayed extreme consistency. This is from the PR that Alistair sent me overnight from the regatta. Extreme consistency and calculated professionalism throughout the whole series, an incredible result in winning the championship. Their best race, a third, and talk about consistent, and worse, a 13th. They approached every race, and you had 2 throwouts in this regatta. Every race is a new beginning and managed each start with what was delivered. Congratulations to Jonathan and Libby. I can only agree with that. There are the standings of the top 25. Jonathan and Libby and Harrison and Zara Chalice. Aussies who were second. Chris Dance and Peter Hackett, Aussies also from Sandringham, were third. And then right down, you can see the Japanese team, or one of the Japanese teams. And I think they are so kind and nice. I can see why Alistair was talking with Nick Douglas, why it'd be nice if they did well. And then you see at the very bottom of the list here, Al Capitan. You probably can't see it on the TV cam.
There.
That's Alistair Murray with Misha Suda from the Sandringham Yacht Club. They were 25th. So very respectable finish, Julia.
Absolutely.
In a fleet of, 108, give or take, boats. Bravo Zulu, Alistair, and
I'm remembering
Misha.
255, so I don't know.
No, 255 was what Andrew Davola was sailing. Dolly Davola was sailing in the windsurfers. There were 108 boats. But that's still a big turnout in Melbourne. So, a lot of Aussies, to be sure. It's a big class in Australia. Clark Chapin will remember that we had tasers. I actually had one for a summer or two.
Did you?
Yep. My wife and I sailed it and thought that would be a good husband and wife boat. And then nobody else really wanted to sail them because they are tricky to sail. They were very light. But the problem was that, and I doubt the construction has changed, but They're super light, and it's one kind of, if correct me if I'm wrong, Alistair, you were watching, but there was one super thin carbon or glass or something layer on foam. And if you brought the boat in and set it on something other than a dolly, if you'd set it on pebbles on the ground, the pebbles poked up and created holes in the surface of the hull. So it was the boats were tender and not very forgiving. John Libby, I keep saying Liberty. John and Libby champion people as well. Yes, they've won that world several times. And I'm reminded by somebody, Bill Wingrove was it, that said that Nick and her dad won the Aussie Nationals several times. But I don't think they won the Worlds, and I don't think Alistair's won the Worlds, but regardless, great stuff.
Yes,
congratulations.
indeed.
Bravo, Zulu. And we'll cover on, maybe I'll run another video because Alistair did send a video, Julia, from another video or two. He did an interview with a race officer, and maybe we'll run that on Friday. We'll see how that feels, having given a pretty good coverage here.
Okay.
And then we'll check in with Miami, too, because we have our Olympic trials going on down there and wrapping up later this week. Alistair! Oh, and then thank you. Andrew Dolly DeVoe is saying Rob and Nick's dad, won 3 Taser Worlds, so not just the Nationals.
Oh, great.
Bravo Zulu to them, and thanks Alistair for Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. The latest one. We haven't had one in a little bit, but everybody appreciates them like we appreciate
Always
Emmett's
does a good job.
reports. Justin and Mitchell, I hope they're going to be at Gov Cup. I hope they apply. I hope they have time. I mean, their calendar, sailing calendar is probably filling up, but hope to see them in late July at Gov Cup, if not before. Last leg with our famous painting, and this is the aforementioned video. John Emmett did his 2023 highlights, and it's not because it's an Emmett video per se, but look at all the people. We don't see a lot of the people he interviews.
Yeah.
Remember, he sends his report for us and every now and then interviews somebody. But on top of that, if you don't realize, John does a bunch of interviews for a bunch of different events, mostly at Castle Cove Sailing Club or in Weymouth or up and down the coast in the UK, but also at other regattas around the world. And have a look at his highlights reel from 2023.
John is shaking.
I did skills meet last year. Oh, it doesn't want you.
Just make you want to go sailing?
Yeah.
At these clubs and go help with the race committee and do, whatever else.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful.
Alistair Murray is saying, yeah, the early Tazars were vulnerable due to thin skin. That's apparently been fixed now. Yeah, it was 45 years ago. That was in the mid-70s. I was sailing Fireballs and lasers, and sunfish, and tasars. Look at all the kids and some old farts too that he interviewed.
Yeah.
We'll get Emmett over here sometime soon. Every country should have somebody like Emmett, somebody like Alistair,
Yes.
going around and doing this sort of stuff. Some kid that would do this, get some money together, help keep the person alive. And of course, it's good promotion for John because of Olympic coaching, but not really. It's a bigger pain in the, I think, behind to do all this stuff and do the editing. As Derek Klein will tell you, the beauty of our show is there's no editing. We go live. I push the buttons to switch the cameras, to push the buttons to run the videos. And when we're done, we're done.
Yes.
I have breakfast and you have lunch and we're done.
Yep.
John Emmett Sailing. Get to the front of the fleet. A great video.
It reminds me that he is a citizen of the world.
And he is that too. And married to a Chinese Olympic gold medalist.
Right.
Who's now probably more British than she is. Well, she always will be Chinese. Can't take the boy. You can take the boy out of Michigan, but you can't take the Michigan out of the boy.
Yeah.
Joe Holtzman will appreciate that.
Yes.
These boys, these young men, are going to be terrific. You're going to hear a lot about them down the road in the future. And just one other thing. There is one other comment. I was going to use a video, but I need to know more about this regatta. There's a regatta going on in what's called the south of, talk about an Australian-centric show, but it's that time of year. It's, it's the middle of their summer, or late in their summer now, getting to be. There is a club I'd never heard of. I lived in Perth and Fremantle on and off for 3 years. There's a club called the South of Perth Yacht Club, and they're running an event called the 49 or the Niner event, and it's with 49ers, 29ers, and the FX. Those are different flavors of the same of the 49er FX and the
Right.
49er. Well, the 49er, the 29er, and the FX. Did I say that? So this regatta looks cool, and they got all these men and women, mostly young people, sailing in this regatta. And this club, which I, again, had never heard of, I apologize if it's been around for a long time. South of Perth Yacht Club.
Yeah. Somebody.
You remember that?
Yes, I remember the name because, and somebody was sailing in that America's Cup from South of Perth.
I don't think so. Maybe
not a boat.
They were the
sailor.
members. They could have been members.
Yeah,
could well be. But and they have a beautiful facility. Search Sail Media and YouTube to watch. Yeah, the skiff champs are going on too. Andrew, thank you for that. In Australia right now too. We'll cover that. South of Perth Yacht Club is a great club. Alistair is confirming. Mm-hmm. So Alistair, if you can send me any info on the club, I mean I went on their website today. And it blew me away. It's a big, beautiful marina, big, beautiful facility in the Swan River. Fabulous,
Yeah.
Fabulous. We are so lucky as a sport. Paul Henderson always said, we are so lucky because our clubs have the greatest real estate, waterfront real estate in the world. Just look at your club, Julia.
Yes.
The St. Francis.
Mm-hmm.
The St. Frantic. The St. Fancy, as
Fancy,
I call it.
yeah.
As a proud member. I am very proud to be a member of that club, too. All right, Julia.
Sir.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And we have a lot today. Whenever I say, well, nobody sent me any, the next show, they all come in droves. This first one, apropos our little discussion when we got off the topic at the top of the show about the 737 MAX, Sangmeister sent this, and he said, when one door closes, another opens. That's a good way to kick off Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Now, this is a nice one. This is a polite one. Ed Worley sent this. A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. And that is true. I think the best sailors, one of the reasons the best sailors are from San Diego or San Francisco for that matter.
Or offshore.
Well, offshore is a different kettle of fish, but people who sail in San Diego where you're out sailing in light air with a lot of lump, if you're out in the ocean, or you can have flat water lake conditions in San Diego Bay. But people learn to sail well in light air, which is why Buddy Melgus, growing up on Lake Geneva in Zenda, Wisconsin, light air, flat water. Man, he was something else. And a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor, but, a light air sailor on a smooth sea or lump.
Yeah.
Or like here in San Francisco Bay, all the people who learned to sail in breeze and lump
Yeah.
here and everywhere in between. Look at what goes on over. I like that, Ed Worley. Thank you.
I do too.
And then there's this one. Well, you almost made it, except for your language when docking.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
When you were doing your offshore sailing, were you were docking? Were you in charge of the lines? Were you in charge of driving? Were you in charge of the radios? Or were you just standing by and
It depends on what.
cursing?
Depends on what was happening.
Except for your language when docking. That reminds me of a dirty jokes thing, right? We won't talk about that. This one Ryman sent predictably. I like it. I like it. Everyone's commenting on my post. We talked about the original iPhone today, Julia.
Yes.
And now everybody walks around with their bloody iPhone. It's astonishing.
It is.
I don't even take my phone, and I'm on my phone. It's the last thing I do at night. I do the crossword puzzle and I read the news.
Yeah.
And it's the first thing I do in the morning, reading the news, looking at some of the websites, seeing what the FOSI have sent us. But I don't walk around with it. It's in my pocket. As you know, it's off. I don't let it ring.
Oh, you do let it ring.
I don't let, well, I let it ring, but it's silent.
Yep.
I never take it to the dinner table.
No.
Or the lunch table or anywhere else. I mean, it's a tool. It's a computer. Good one, Ed Worley. Let's see. Ha, 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 ha. What's this going on? A lot of comments. What's this from Hanfield? Okay, I'll look at those after the show. I like Ernest J. King. Clark is saying one of the hallmarks of a great boat handler is to never get into a situation that requires great boat handling. That is the truth.
Yes.
Everyone's commenting on my post. Now this one is even better. Did you fall? No, I'm a vegan. I just got the munchies.
Oh.
Ryman, Ryman sent that one as well. And then finally, I said to Ryman, we were texting this morning. I said, Ted, I need a drinking one. We haven't had a drinking one on here in a long time. Weekend forecast. So he sent this to me. Weekend forecast, sailing with a chance of drinking.
Yes.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is a Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, but I'm going to use it now at the bottom of the show when we have those closing slides, the credits and so on. And I've had that, three different slides at the very, very end, but I like this. You don't stop sailing when you get old, Julia.
I know.
You get old when you stop sailing.
Right.
So you and I both have to, I'm doing some sailing, not much. You're not doing much at all. We got to get you sailing again. Seriously.
I know.
Right?
Yes.
That from Ed Worley. Thank you, Ed. We need a cold video on here. Hello, friends. Hello, Monica Mino. You made it right to the end of the show. We're an hour and a half into the show. Thank you for joining us here at 1430 in San Francisco and wherever the rest of you are in the world. Thank you again for joining us. Show 675, soon to be 700, Julia.
Ooh.
As we get across the finish line for this one, your witness.
Yes. Please like, follow, and share. It helps our audience a lot.
Oh, be more. You don't even have to say all that. Just be more demonstrative. Pound the table. Say, come on, you all. Share it right now. Come on, Julia.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Just a flick of a finger. Share this broadcast.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, Alistair Murray. Thank you for your comment, Joe Holtzman, as well. Comments are welcome. We always remind you, even in replay. So, Monica Mino, you can go back, watch it all in replay now. You just joining us. And you can comment. And we do go back and look at them, in part because we want to be sure nobody said something croutonic. No name calling, no personal attacks, no coarse language. But we do go back and look, and we dearly appreciate all of you who give us $1 or $2 or $5 or sometimes more a month to keep us afloat and equipped. We're always improving our equipment. Tomorrow is my studio day, Julia, to improve the studio, fix things, improve things, order things that need to be ordered. And thank you very much to all who gave us audio, video, and images for today's show. Julia, final thoughts.
I look forward to this year being better than last with very little prospect of it.
I know we keep saying that, but you know what? What difference does it make? All we can do is come on here, enjoy everybody's company.
Yes.
Try to talk about our beloved sport, make a few side comments about other things, and enjoy Sail GP, enjoy the America's Cup, enjoy the Olympics. It's a big year.
Yes.
Sail GP.
Yep.
In fact, there's a Sail GP event this weekend.
I know, in Abu Dhabi.
Exactly right, in Abu Dhabi. And we've got the Olympics coming up, as John told us about, and we got the America's Cup coming up. It's going to be a great year for sailing. One can only hope. And with that, we'll go out on this video. The promo for this weekend.
You better be on your mark. Here we go. Brilliant start. Look at me. Like a
As Julia said, in Abu Dhabi. And that is Saturday, Sunday. That's not Friday, Saturday, as some of them are.
And we are on. Just gotta get to the finish line here, guys. And now the party can really begin. Well done, guys. Yeah!
In Abu Dhabi this weekend, the 13th and 14th. We're not going to do a watch party, but we are, I'm sure all or a lot of us will tune in. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you at our regular time on Friday, 1300 Pacific. And in the meantime, wherever in the world you are, go sailing. And if you do, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now. I got to read one more comment. Banero said, Abu Dhabi sounds like the capital city of Hanna-Barbera. Good one, Rick. Thank you for that. See you Friday.